Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today we are going to be talking all about what does a balanced and realistic workday actually look like for a business owner. And this question is really interesting because I think that realistic is different for everyone because realistic is really based off of circumstances. What does your life look like? Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? Are you married? Are you not married? Are you working your business full time, or are you working your business part time, or is it a side hustle? Do you have a career? And so when you think about a realistic balanced workday, it all comes down to your circumstances, right? But I am going to give you guys very just tangible tips for you to walk away so that you can have that balance. So that first piece, realistic, that's really circumstantial. It's based off of what you want. Whatever is realistic for you is what you want for your life, for your business, and how you want to run your business and how you want to live your life. And another example of this is like, I know someone who's like 25 and she just quit her corporate job and she has no kids. She's living at home with her mom. She's doing her social media business full time. And and she works like 10 hours a day. And that's okay. That's amazing for her. That is realistic for her. That is balanced for her. Now, if you were to ask all of my other clients who are moms, who have husbands, who have full-time businesses, they're probably not wanting to work 10 hours a day every single day, and their priorities are just shifted and different. And so not to say like one is better than the other. That's not one to say one is right or the other is wrong. It's really just to say that realistic means, what does my life look like? What's real for me? But I will give you guys tips no matter what your circumstances are for balance. Okay. And that word balance, I think that oftentimes people feel like it needs to be equal, like equal as in 50-50. But I think balance just means like it is literally like balance. It feels like it's in flow. And sometimes it means 10 hours here and 5 hours here. That's still going to be balanced if it feels balanced. Oftentimes it doesn't feel balanced because people are equating 10 hours here and 5 hours here. But I could spend 5 quality hours with my kids and then 10 hours in my business and still feel balanced. Balance is like that state of flow, that state of feeling. It's more, I feel like balance is more of a feeling than actual numbers of like, I'm going to do 2 hours of my business here, 2 hours with my kids, 2 hours with my spouse. It's like sometimes that is not even a flow. So on paper, it looks balanced, right? I've got 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, but it doesn't feel balanced. And so when it comes to balancing, I want you to think about what feels balanced in your life for the different things that you have in your life. And in order to do that, you have to first identify what are the things in your life that are priorities. That's a huge word. I think that oftentimes people are like, my priorities are making money in my business and being with my kids, right? Or being like a mom. That's a huge topic for my clients too. And it's like my priorities are being a daughter of God, because I know that if I can make that a priority, then everything else is going to be amazing. My second priority is being a wife, because if I could do that, everything else will be amazing. Everything underneath, right? My third priority is being a mom, because if I am so fulfilled as a mom, everything else is amazing. My fourth priority is being a leader in my house church community, because if I could do that, everything else is good. And then my fifth priority is my business. And it's so interesting when I bring that up, because people always wonder like, wow, like your business is number 5, because it feels like you show up a lot. It feels like your business is number 1, what they see on social media, right? And so that's also like a comparison thing. That might have to be a whole another podcast episode. But it's like when we compare ourselves to what we see on social media, we think that people are spending time doing XYZ. We think that people have it all perfectly figured out. We think that their version of realistic should be our version of realistic. We think that other people's balanced life should be our balanced life. But again, some people don't believe in God, so that's not a priority for them. Some people are not married. Some people don't have kids. Some people don't lead a house church, right? So none of those things are even priorities. And so I want you to first identify, what are the priorities in your life? What do you even want to be priorities? Once you figure out what you actually want to be priorities in your life, then you can create that balance, because now you have decided intentionally, here's what my day is going to look like. Here's what's going to happen in my day. Here's what's not going to happen in my day. Here's what I'm going to give my time to. Here's what I'm not going to give my time to. That is the beginning of creating balance by knowing what your priorities are so that you can tell your time where to go. What oftentimes doesn't feel balanced is because we're spending all this time in our business and then we're like, I have no time left over for my kids. And that feels out of balance. I'm spending all of my time with my kids and now I have no time for my business. And that also feels out of balance. I'm giving all of my time to my career and I have no time for my business. And it's like you just have to be so intentional about your time. You have to be intentional about what does balance look like for me and how do I want to create that? For example, right now my kids are 4, 6, 8, and 10. They are all very young. I do not want to work more than 10 hours a week in my business. I do not care how much money people will pay me to work more than 10 hours. I have decided I only want to be away from my kids 2 hours, 5 days a week. That is the max. Now, it might be like 3 hours on a Monday or 1 hour on Tuesday, but for me, like 10 hours, that is the max right now. And I am so willing to go slower right now because I know that there will be a season where my kids are in elementary school, middle school, high school, where I will have so much time to like 100x my business. And so for me right now, my priority is like being a wife and being a mom above being a business owner. And I get to create that balance how I see fit, right? I get to decide when I take my coaching calls, when I do my consultations, when I do my marketing, when I record podcast episodes. I get to make all of those decisions. And so if I had to say like balance, where it comes from, balance is a feeling and it comes from your priorities and it comes from being intentional and making a decision to be balanced. You get to decide what balance looks like and you get to decide how to create that balance. You don't have to work only 10 hours. You could work 20 hours, 30 hours. You could work 100 hours a week on your business if you want to. If that is balance for you, amazing. And some people, I had this question asked the other day of like, how do I know if I'm taking on too much, right? You will know that you're taking on too much because you feel out of balance. You feel out of control. You feel overwhelmed. You feel chaos. You want to do all these big things, but you're not being intentional about it. And it's causing you to be out of balance. You feel guilty you're here. You feel guilty when you're over here. You never can focus on anything. And that's not to say the things that you want to do are bad things. They might all be good and amazing things, but it's out of balance because you have not decided what's a priority here. You could have 5 amazing things, but if they're not in the correct order of priorities, your focus is going to be on the wrong things at the wrong times. And so if you want to actually create more realistic, balanced work days for you and your business, you have to first decide, what does my balanced life look like? What does my balanced business look like? And begin to create that balance from knowing where you actually want to go and creating the steps to actually get there.